22-40767 is now called. The state of Texas versus Greg Allen Kramer. That's you?
Yes, sir.
Present with Ms. Mantalini, your attorney, and the state's attorney is going to be here shortly.
It's Mr. Ham.
Jimmy Ham? Oh,
I'm sorry. Which day?
Kramer.
Kramer, Greg Kramer. It's one of the names on the docket.
We're working on the trial docket for next week.
Or you?
Yes.
Sorry.
You're looking ahead. Looking ahead.
Yeah,
So that's a good thing.
I missed that altogether. I
Foresight
apologize.
is important. Earlier, Mr. Kramer, you pleaded guilty to the third-degree felony of operating a motor vehicle in a public place while intoxicated, and you have 2 or more prior convictions
Yes, sir.
of DWIs. And you pleaded true to paragraph 2, alleging, looks like in February of 2021, you had 2 convictions of DWIs, and then in March of 21, in Galveston County, another conviction of a DWI. So paragraphs 1 and 2 constitute a third-degree felony, and we only went on a third-degree felony, didn't we? I see there's a third paragraph of a prior conviction in 13, but in Ector County, but that was not used to enhance the punishment to a second degree.
In light of the agreement to catch. Yes.
Okay. So it's just paragraphs 1 and 2, a third-degree felony, and the sentencing agreement is that whatever sentence shall not exceed a cap of 6 years in prison. So you were looking at no less than 2 nor more than 6 years confinement in prison. You can, there's nothing that under the law that prevents me from placing him on a regular probation. But deferred or unadjudicated probation is not an option in this type of offense. I think those are our options here. We know. I've looked at a pre-sentence report. Have the parties had an opportunity to review it? Are there any corrections or changes to it?
For the defense, I do have one thing
Yeah.
on page 3, the first item listed under offense. He tells me that it does often come up whenever there's a run on his history that it's unlawful possession of a firearm by felon. But at that point in time, he was not a felon. So he's not sure why that keeps appearing next to it, but that he didn't have a felony conviction prior
Well, what
to
is the problem?
that.
But hold on.
Yeah, that was my very first thing you said.
Well, it's listed here. It's illegal possession of a prohibited weapon.
Yeah.
So that somehow
They keep-
something is not
Yeah,
looking correct as in the data concerning the actual earlier offense firearm related, but it's still a felony. It's just not unlawful possession of a firearm by a previous convicted felon, which would infer another felony previously exists, which I don't see.
yes.
But other than that, we
But
did
it's a
know it.
prohibited weapon that needs to get corrected in the
I've been trying to fix that. for
well, maybe
10
the
years.
state will try to help work on that, since it's a computer system that,
Yeah, 'cause it even shows
and
us
it's
for
been- which is shocking because I've never known a computer system to really fail.
yes.
Anyway, getting back to this. Okay, so the pre-sentence report is made a part of the record for all
Yes, sir.
purposes. Okay, go ahead.
And I'm sorry, I spoke. I guess
You can go.
Mr. Ham had no objections. We're asking the judge to the court to grant Mr. Kramer probation. He does have a job, and he works at a company where they test and clean firefighter equipment.
Respirators.
And he does not drive, does not have a car. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he understands the importance that if he did drive a car and he had probation, that he would have to have the interlock device on it. He is 40 years old. He recognizes that alcohol has been an issue, but also even more importantly, that he's learned officially his lesson. I believe that he is not, if he's gonna have any alcohol, he should not drink. And if he were granted probation, he understands he can't even have alcohol. There doesn't seem to be any other major issue that which should concern the court, except for whether or not Mr. Kramer can follow the rules of probation and abstain from the use of alcohol while on probation. We would ask the court to grant him probation. And when after the Mr. Hammond's finished, the court may wish to speak with Mr. Kramer.
I'd like the defense to explain to me what happened under this recommendation section. The first sentence,
Yes, sir. And I did talk to him about that.
what happened there? You failed to appear to the pre-sentence
Uh,
officer for this whole thing?
yeah, that's all me. That was my fault.
Was it your busy schedule, sir, that
No, it
was
wasn't.
interrupting?
I had just started a job and I
This really didn't have that high importance?
it's very important, very important.
How important was it?
It is just, there was so much going on. I forgot. And then it's no good excuse for it. And I apologize, especially for wasting time on it. But I had no plan to go into it. At the time, I didn't have a ride either. I mean, my mom, she can sometimes take off. Other than that, I didn't exactly have a set ride. And the paperwork is in her car. I forgot the date.
Why don't you have a ride?
I don't have a car. I ain't driving. I'm not trying to drive.
Well,
I'm now having.
You wrecked out your car here on this event because you were intoxicated, so. But nobody's feeling sorry for you.
I don't.
You gotta figure it out. You make some mistakes, but let me ask you this. The phone, do you have a phone?
I do now.
You were
Yeah,
able to
my
call
phone
the
number.
probation officer, were you, or was somebody, holding your hands or something?
Probation officer's number. I don't at all.
Are you
You
talking
had
about
an
any of the-
appointment for the pre-sentencing, which is kind of important.
Yes, sir.
No, it's most important thing.
It is. It's-
Not in according to the way you go at it. No, it wasn't. And we didn't hear anything, so.
I apologize.
Go ahead, state. State of Texas, Jane.
Judge, I'd like to impose upon the court to ask that he be tested. My nose may be mistaken, but I smell alcohol.
Did you drink alcohol today, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, we're gonna drug test you here
That's
before
fine.
we go for it. Yeah. I'm glad it's okay with you, but it's, gonna be ordered one way or the other, and we'll
Yes.
just make sure. Could be just alcohol from cologne or something. I do want to ask you this. I'm looking at, and you were tested in your breath showed 0.19, which is over, about 2.5 times the legal limit. But what's most interesting is you fled the scene before the police could show up after you wrecked your car. Where'd you go?
I went walking down, I want to say it was Needleland. I walked all the way down to Needleland and then I started going towards Port Acres.
And then what'd you do
I stopped and got 2 beers.
after you wrecked your car? You got 2 beers, huh?
Yes, sir.
Like these little small cans of beer? What?
32 ounce.
The 32 ounces, 64 ounces of beer after you had just wrecked your car.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain to me how that makes any sense at all?
Well, I know I was nervous, but not
Oh, does it help with your nerves?
my anxiety.
I mean, it's 4 pounds of beer
Yes, sir.
after you just wrecked a 4,000-pound missile.
Yes, sir.
And but why didn't you stay at the scene?
But that one curve.
Why didn't you stay at the scene?
Scared. I was scared.
Sir,
I was scared, nervous.
of what?
Well, what's the traffic?
You've already done all the damage you could really do.
Yeah,
So what were you scared of?
on jail, I believe, because I
How
didn't have a
that, how did
license.
that end up working out for you later that night?
Still ended up in jail. Still ended up in jail.
Do
And now
you
I've got
find that
charged.
but hard to analyze? And I mean, was there any other option that was going to happen?
Could have just stayed with the truck. I should have never even left.
You know,
And
I don't
wouldn't probably even
understand
went
why
to
you
jail.
think it's a safe haven to go get 64 ounces of beers and consume them after you fled the scene of an accident, scene of a crime.
Yes,
Okay. I just try to figure things out up here,
I know.
and a lot doesn't make sense, like your case. It doesn't make any sense. Okay.
I can go ahead and argue if you'd like, Judge, or we can wait till the testing.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so Judge, you've already hit two of the highlights that I planned on it. Number one is that if we were going to place him on probation, obviously he would have taken a lot more care about making sure he interviewed properly with the probation department. Number two is the fact that he left the scene, and to his credit, it's not mentioned here, but he did admit to driving and drinking to the trooper that ended up interviewing him. But as the court knows, his blood test is what it was. What I think bodes well most for sentencing him to the 6 years is the fact that he was given probation in 2012 for the offense of possession of prohibited weapon. He lasted about a year, but then that was revoked. So the system has already given him a chance at probation, and he showed that he doesn't want to follow that. Now, if one argued that that was a opportunity for him to learn his lesson, then we reflect on what his DWI showed. It was 2013 when he received 4 years. He received a DWI in 2019, and again, 2 more after that. So we have a date of August 16th where he received one that was over 0.15 of 2019. Then he received another one on October 31st of 2019, where he receives 300 days jail, along with an additional DWI where it was over 0.15. That was September 9th of 2020. So we have here just a history of drinking to an excess, because it's over 0.15 in both of those occasions and this occasion here. And it looks to me like although I believe in the probation and how probation can work, it's just not one that we should use our assets here. I think that what's warranted is 6 years, Judge. And again, I still have a concern that he may have either been drinking this morning or too much last night.
And I just had one additional
Follow-up.
thing, Your
Yeah,
Honor.
go ahead.
And we did talk about the May 21st, 2008 offense that he received 5 years of deferred for and was revoked and given 4 years TDC. I don't have,
Why was that revoked? Do you remember?
My wife at the time filed an assault charge against me, which was dismissed. But my PO was getting tired of waiting for the courts to take me to court. And so eventually she just revoked me.
These are the records I have, Judge, as to that offense.
I don't even need to see it. I mean, I can read. So,
the only thing that I was understanding from him was that the basis of the motion to revoke was dismissed just after the revocation went through. So that's what he had explained to me. I haven't seen the records. I don't know, but that he got revoked. And then just shortly right after that was when the actual allegation that made the basis of the revocation had become dismissed.
Other than that, I was making I'll do my community service. I got my hours done quick with my PO, because I was probation was out of Ector County, but I was getting supervised in Galveston County in sanitary techniques.
okay, so your final answer that you want to stand by here is that when you were placed on probation for this unlawful possession of a firearm,
It's a-
You were placed on 5 years deferred or unadjudicated probation in September of 2012. And then you were revoked and sentenced to 4 years in prison in November of 2013, about a year and 14 months later.
So,
And the reason that was you were revoked and sentenced to prison was what? Because it's, yeah,
Assault
I'm
against
having a hard time.
assault against a family member.
Okay, so you committed assault against a family member.
She was hitting me and I pushed her back.
You committed,
Yes.
you committed assault, or was she the one assaulting you? And you were a victim here, so quite naturally you got revoked for being a victim.
We were arguing and fighting. She hit me and pushed her back.
Did you get convicted of the assault or not?
I believe it was dismissed.
You don't know?
She filed multiple ones.
You don't know? It says in the pre-sentence report.
I
What
wanna say it
happened to
was-
it?
That one was dismissed. The one that.
No,
got
it
me-
wasn't. No, you served 6 months in the jail. You were, the date of offense is 11/26/12, which would have been 2 months after you were placed on probation. And you were convicted of it and served 6 months in the county jail on September of 2014. And you want to stand there and look at me and say it was dismissed?
No, I know there was one assault that was dismissed. Remember, I was locked up.
Oh, you've
They
got
gave me
so
six-
many of these, you've got
Just with this
confusion
one.
in your mind.
No, it's just with this one woman. In checking record, there is no assault against anybody else outside there. It just like.
So I can trust your word again on this? The same one?
Yes, just.
All right,
Or just.
All right. let's see.
The
This was a
revocation,
prohibited weapon.
Short barrel firearm. Short barrel shotgun. Excuse me.
And
the, but I think, and I don't know because I don't have access to all the records, but what I'm understanding him to say is the revocation that occurred in 2013 was for a family assault that was dismissed, although in 14 in Galveston County, and that was Ector County, in 14, he had a family assault. Now, whether
Do you
it's the
see-
same one or
now
not, I
look
don't
at
know.
Look
page
at the
2 of the
offense
pre-sentence report.
Look at the
Look
date
at
of the offense.
page 2,
Over here.
under 11/26/12.
Yes, sir.
Assault causing bodily injury, family member, Galveston County. Look to the next column, 9/15/14, he was dispositioned, 6 months jail. That happens 2 months after he's placed on probation. He is revoked. His probation is revoked. It's only logical to assume he was revoked because of that.
I guess I'm just,
And I'm looking at the motion to revoke probation here that was
Yes.
filed, and it includes that he committed on number one, on or about November 26, 2012, which is what we're talking about.
okay.
2 months after he's placed on probation, he commits an offense against the laws of Texas, namely assault family violence.
And that was the one that was disposed of in 14.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, finally. I don't have an order on that one, though. All that is a motion. Okay. All right. Anything else? What are you doing now?
You mean working?
Yes, sir.
Between an expected firefighter game, like the jackets, respirators.
That's
Stuff like that.
how much you make an hour then,
That one,
sir?
9 right now.
And what are you asking for, Stan?
6 years, Judge.
And
Probation, Your Honor.
you can follow up. Here, anything else you want to add?
Just that, it appears that he is trying to do the things that would be required of him on probation. He has secured a job. And I know the court wants to go ahead and test and make sure he's not under the influence of any alcohol. And we would ask, and I would ask that the court grant him, in the event that that test results in the way that I'm sure he's saying that it should, we would ask the court to grant probation.
He's not mumbling. He seems coherent to me. I don't smell anything. You ready to proceed?
In which way? So,
Are you ready to proceed? He's ready to rule. Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
All right. If nothing further, then I'm going to find you have pleaded guilty here voluntarily. You were meant to this third-degree felony, paragraphs 1 and 2, operating a motor vehicle in a public place while intoxicated. You are mentally competent to do so. You understand and appreciate the consequences of pleading guilty. There's sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea from State's Exhibit 1 admitted in the guilty plea hearing to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I now find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I am following this agreement, and you were hereby sentenced to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 5 years. And you have been placed on probation before. You have failed probation. And you just, for subsequent crimes, you don't get less time with me under the circumstances. This crime doesn't make a lot of sense in what you did that night, because who really wrecks their car when they're intoxicated and then saunters on and gets 64 ounces of beers to consume as fast as possible. I mean, that's goofy. That's goofy. But you are, we're talking to, just as we're talking to you, we're catching you at what doesn't make any sense about this. You're trying to minimize the prior assault that resulted apparently in the revocation of your probation, but it's just, you're not forthright. And that's the problem you're going to have to overcome in dealing with your problem, because it's obvious that alcohol is a problem that you need to address more than you've had to address. And you're lucky you didn't hurt or kill somebody, which happens too often in this courtroom in cases. But it's about, this is now your second conviction of a felony. The next felony you commit, you're looking at habitual felon. You're looking at 25 to life.
Yes, sir.
It's about time you straightened up and started following the rules, not only for your own well-being, but everybody else who has to pass you on the roadway when you're operating a 4,000-pound missile irresponsibly.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Your Honor, would just ask if the court would reconsider and possibly grant him probation with safety as a condition, where he could get a good in-house lockdown treatment facility to work with him.
Please.
You know what? They have great work in prison, and it's a lockdown facility, and we'll know where he is, and he won't be out and about.
Sir, I'm not running.
Oh, you're going to make deals with me?
No, sir.
You want to make deals with
I'm
me?
asking.
I just issued a directive and an order. You are convicted of another felony, and the order is being executed. You were sentenced to prison. Shame on you for doing this. You're in no position to be committing crimes with your criminal record, and you're not. I don't sympathize with you. I sympathize with everybody else who has to be around you, including the people, the family members that you assault, who you're supposed to love. I mean, how would you treat strangers? Well, you show how you treat strangers if you're going to treat family members that way. You don't care. You act irresponsibly. I wish you didn't, but this is what we call justice. Okay. And it is earned here. I wish I didn't have to assess punishments like this, but you're having to pay a price for the cost that you absorbed in committing a crime. That is all. Yolanda, We just drug tested you. What do you think happened, sweetheart? What do you think happened on your drug test? Yeah, you got cocaine in you. Yes. Which isn't the first time, as we're looking at your criminal history. Well, we can't really do much here today. When you're high,
What substance was it, Judge?
cocaine.
Okay.